when we recorded last week, this horrific murder by MAGA had not happened yet. The horrific killing of RENEE Good in Minneapolis by an ICE officer. Truly shocking.
Has shocked the conscience of the nation in many ways and broken through when nothing else really has. Because we've been seeing ICE violence across the country all year long. And I think this really outrageous act of violence has captured people's imagination in a way that like actually puts them in that driver's seat. In a real way.
Yeah, I was going to ask, why do you think that is?
I think part of the reason it went so viral so quickly is that both sides tried to seize on it to prove their own point. And so everyone was sharing it, right? Usually I think in these situations, there's a bias in who's sharing it and uplifting it, which outlets are running it, that kind of thing. But in this instance, it was everyone, because MAGA was like, look, see, these are domestic terrorists trying to run over police officers or cops or ICE agents, whatever. Absurd. And then the left is like, look, they're murdering us. The options are now comply with them or be killed. Right.
It's very scary. Everyone saw the footage immediately, being that people are told, if you're a bystander, record the ICE officers, record what's happening. And I think, the next day, MAGA decided to release the ICE officers' POV. And what's troubling to me about that video is that that's not a body cam.
I know.
He had his cell phone out. He knew exactly what he was doing.
I have yet to hear some sort of justification for why he would be recording on his cell phone.
Well, I think we know why. It's that he was thrilled at what he was doing and by what he was doing and wanted to record.
It's insane.
It's insane. It's so criminal. And let's talk about that, because there's a lot that's happened in the last week about the repeated messaging by Stephen Miller and others that ICE officers have complete immunity. We're also seeing a shakeup in Minnesota of the prosecutors who are resigning. There's 6 prosecutors who have now resigned from office because they were being told to, rather than investigate the ICE officer, who the federal DOJ said you can't do.
Just the incident. Just to investigate like that incident, like
the murder.
What happened there.
It's a crime scene.
Right.
It is a crime scene what happened. The fact that there was a physician on site who we have a recording of saying, I am a doctor. Please let me go check if she has a pulse.
Right.
And they're like, no. We have an ambulance coming. What is the harm in a doctor going to see someone who was just shot? That's super troubling. And not only has the DOJ said, no, you cannot investigate the murder or the ICE officer, they're saying, actually, but what you should be investigating is RENEE Good and her wife Becca's ties to insert resistance organization here.
Yeah, wanting to investigate the widow is truly cruelty at a level that is hard to comprehend. There's no there, obviously. Right? I don't think we need to break down the video itself, because there have been so many different ways and times that people did that. But I think it's clear from anyone who's paid any amount of attention to it that this was not some plot. There was not some sort of organized attack on ICE, and to use all of the lies from the administration as a pretext to further traumatize someone who has lost the love of their life, kids who have lost their parent, it's just diabolical.
It's diabolical. And I think also, to my question to you about why is this resonating so profoundly across all demographics of Americans, is that this was a mother dropping her child off from school, driving back or to wherever she needed to go next, and it was ICE who blocked the road.
Right.
So regardless of if she was going to get out of her car and protest or not, they made it difficult for her to even drive through, gave her conflicting information about getting out of her car or driving forward. And that could happen to anyone. And it is so abundantly clear that by the DOJ, even claiming that they're going to prosecute her widow and ties to resistance organizations, that they're trying to intimidate every other American who is trying to resist by saying that if you are aligned with Indivisible, if you are aligned with We Are the 3.5%, if you are aligned with the Sunrise Movement, that you are a domestic terrorist. It's bullshit.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's happened since the shooting, right? So the war over who should be investigated, how the federal authorities are blocking Minnesota investigators from participating has created mass dissent within the DOJ, is disrupting sort of their standard operations. And the administration's response has been to pour more gasoline on the fire. Any other president, really probably in the history of our country, would be seeking to calm the situation, to reduce violence that's happening in the streets, which is being escalated by ICE, and trying to work with local officials and authorities to do that, right? President Trump has zero interest in peace, zero interest in like calm or any sort of harmony within the United States or outside of it. And his solution is to send thousands more agents into the streets and further embolden them with incorrect claims of some sort of like superseding federal immunity that they can do anything they want without any sort of penalty. And the fact that they're all masked is what's actually making that stick, right? Because otherwise we would, I think, all be really confident that these people are going to go to jail when an adult is in charge.
Yeah.
And that's my big fear right now is that. Of course.
And it's very valid. And it's also, they are repeatedly messaging that if you, a citizen, even touch an ICE officer, it's a felony. I think also something to be clear, if a cop, right, an NYPD cop, I could go up to an NYPD cop, I could record him legally and say, what's your name and what's your badge number? And they have to tell you. Which is an important distinction. Because they have to identify themselves. And you really are so correct that the fact that they are masked and we have no idea who these supervillains are is extremely scary. And to your point, if we can't somehow, because I think we're aligned on this, whatever Democratic adult is in power next, we want trials, baby. Like, we're not going to be able to identify who is murdering people on the streets of America.
To get into the base principles a little bit without going too abstract, essentially the definition of the state, like of the government, is the entity to which society gives a monopoly on violence. Like, the idea is that we as a body politic, like we as normal people authorize the government to use force in order to enact like a common set of rules and order. Like, that's like basically the exchange that happens and
domestically
in return,
and abroad.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we, in exchange for allowing the state to have authority to use violence against us, in return we get accountability. We get to set the rules for how and when that violence is used. And it only works when they're governing and doing that, using violence with the consent of the governed. That is how our system works. And when that accountability breaks down, zero accountability, because we don't know who they are. We don't know who the people inflicting this violence against us even are. The violence itself is no longer legitimate, is no longer authorized by the consent of the people being governed. And so what they've done isn't just like overstepping boundaries. It's actually fundamentally breaking the system that we have had in place for hundreds of years, which allows us to maintain a society of order. The thing that's maybe giving me a little hope that we will see justice is the leak that happened. I don't know if you've seen this, but 4,500 ICE officers' names were leaked by a whistleblower.
Ooh.
At DHS.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where's the list?
Very recently. Yeah, it's online now. And so there's all these people, content creators, investigative journalists, who are out there doing research and finding out who these people are, where they're at, what they're doing. So there might be more potential to match the abuses and the violence that's happening to perpetrators in the future if we continue to see like what a hero move, you know?
Yeah.